In this video, I want to talk about the messy middle when it comes to healing your relationship with food and recovering from disordered eating habits. You've gone all in, maybe you've given up dieting, maybe you're in this place where you're looking at other people online and you're kind of questioning, what have they done because they look different to me? And trigger warning here, I will be talking about topics such as disordered eating at times and also mentioning things like weight loss. So if that is too much for you right now, feel free to click out this video. If you are new to my channel, you might not know, but I went all in quite a while ago, and I did that in hopes to work and heal my relationship with food. Before then, my relationship with food was very kind of chaotic. I was in a constant cycle of crash dieting, restricting my food. I felt so madly obsessed with food, it was all I could think about. And with that also being that I would have these random days where I would just overeat compulsively, and I never felt like I was quote unquote normal when it came to my relationship with food. If that sounds like you, grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit down, chill. We're going to talk about the messy middle of recovery and what that actually means, and how is it that other people who've claimed to go all in or have claimed to used to struggle with binge eating, how come they look different to you? And if you're anything like me, when I was going out on my journey, my intention was I wanted to stop compulsively overeating. I just wanted to be rid of it. But also part of me was looking at all of these people online and seeing that their weight sort of stabilized and their weight also got to what I considered was a good weight. So in my mind, I was like, well, maybe I'll actually lose weight if I go all in. So there was part of me that actually hoped for that as well. So I'm going to be touching on that subject as well, because I think not a lot of people really talk about, and I think it's important to kind of understand what's going on, because when I was going through my journey, I would compare myself to other people and think, well, they've lost weight when they went all in. It's a big topic that we need to talk about, and I think it needs to be addressed as well. So like I said, if the topic of weight loss is too much for you right now, please feel free to skip this video. But equally, if you find this video helpful, feel free to like, subscribe and comment below. I think there's now also a way that you can hype a video. I don't fully understand it, but it might actually help more people find this video as well. So I would really appreciate any kind of contribution to that, because it all helps. This topic came up in a conversation with me and my client, and she brought it up, and I thought it was actually really powerful and something that I'd never actually considered thinking about myself. This client in particular has done incredible things with her relationship with food. She's gone from binge eating and compulsive overeating and crash dieting and feeling really chaotic with food to now creating full freedom with herself, her body, and with food. In our minds, when we think about healing our relationship with food, we think it's like a linear, straightforward path. And the truth of the matter is not like that. And I think it's portrayed like this, especially on social media, that we heal our relationship with food, suddenly we're right at the end result and we're super happy and our life is perfect and we're in a body that we absolutely love. Your relationship with food is so deeply unique to you. No way that your journey will look like somebody else's. However, that does not mean that you can't recover, and that doesn't mean that you can't heal your relationship with food, with your body, and get to that place of freedom. However, what's really important is we need to zoom out and set more realistic expectations and understand that social media does sometimes portray things as like a linear process. What we need to get really specific on as well is understand what we're measuring as success, because I think we're still coming from this place of we're looking at a body and perceiving that as successful, rather than understanding where we've come from and how we want to feel ultimately. We're still coming from this place of, okay, well, successful recovery for me will be when I look like that and I'm not overeating anymore. And I know for me, when I first went out on my all-in journey, I had this concept in my mind where I was like, yeah, it was what I was kind of hoping for. And the problem with that is when we do that, we've then got this expectation of what recovery should look like and what the end result should look like. And then when our reality doesn't kind of match that, we then think that we're a failure because we're comparing where we are right now to somebody else's final chapter. We're measuring still our body, we're comparing our body to somebody else's. And then what goes in with that comparison is we then start to think, well, maybe I'm doing recovery wrong then because I'm still eating quite a lot. Then we start going into that micromanaging of what we're eating and how much we're eating. We start to question ourselves. Am I eating too much? Maybe I should cut this out. Maybe I shouldn't be eating as much. And then that only fuels that cycle and we go back to where we started from. Whereas the point of recovery, and this is what I really want to kind of hone in on, is the point of recovery is to get to a place where you feel free with food. You feel free with food and you feel at peace with your body. You're not fighting against your body. Am I saying that you can't get to a place where you feel confident in your body? Absolutely not. There's still a point where you feel happy, healthy, confident, fit in your body. However, in order to get to that place, we first need to really do the work on our relationship with food. Without that, that's like our foundation. When we're going into recovery, what are we comparing ourselves to? Again, that comparison comes in of, well, recovery has got to look like that and I've got to look like that at the end of my recovery. When we think of recovery, it's not like that. We're working with our unique relationship with food, habits with food, history with food. Everything is so much more nuanced and everything is so much more deeply rooted within ourselves. And this is why I work so closely one-on-one with my clients, because it's not just a cookie cutter approach that do these 3 things and then suddenly you're where you want to be. There's steps involved, sure, but everybody's journey is so different and your journey will be so unique to you. So I think part of this messiness in recovery is understanding that you might at times feel like you're going backwards. Maybe you have a day where you overeat slightly. The point of that is to not go into your mind and go into those old thought habits that tell you going backwards or you've failed or you've done something wrong, and understand instead that that's a part of the process. We learn from times when we don't get it quote unquote right, and there were many times when I was going through my recovery where I was trying things and figuring out, and sometimes it meant allowing myself more food and to allow myself to overeat just for me to get to that place where food was no longer a big issue for me. This is what I mean about the messiness of recovery. Please understand that if you do feel like you're not making progress, I would encourage you to take a step back for a moment and ask yourself, where have you come from? How long have you struggled with your relationship with food? And what did it look like before you started? And what's changed up until now? And I'm sure you can even think of a few things. It might even be small. It might just be, I've started to have milk in my coffee, for example, or I've started to not diet anymore, or I've started to introduce bread, or whatever that looks like for you. Understand that just because you've started to go out on your recovery journey, it doesn't mean that from that point it's just going to be a linear process. It ebbs and it flows. You'll have good days where it feels really good and it feels aligned and you eat in a way that feels really good, and then you might have a day where you do overeat. But the difference is this time maybe you're not beating yourself up over it and you're understanding, you're connecting more to your hunger cues, you're understanding what foods make you feel better, what foods make you feel nourished, balanced, and satisfied. And this is honestly, it's like a dance. It's not a process where it's just like step, complete. It's really kind of learning about yourself throughout this process. And especially if you struggle with overeating, crash dieting for a large amount of years, chances are you have been disconnected from your body and your body's hunger cues for many years. So reintegrating that trust within your body is key, but that doesn't happen overnight. Recovery and building things like a healthy, balanced relationship with food, a healthy metabolism, mindset when it comes to food doesn't happen overnight. It happens in stages. I really think it's getting real with that and understanding that we might be comparing where we are right now to somebody else and questioning, like I said before, we're questioning and comparing our body still to somebody else's recovered body. That was a concept that I couldn't fully grasp when I first started, because I was looking at my body when I was still struggling with overeating, and I was comparing it to people like Stephanie Buttermore, and I was thinking, well, her body looks like that, so she must be eating less than me. And again, kind of overthinking and micromanaging my food, which then took me back into the disordered cycle. So we almost have to get to a place of fully releasing that, which is so much easier said than done. I totally understand. But I'm not saying to let go of that idea, and I'm definitely not saying accept your body as it is right now and be happy with it, because that takes time as well. Also, like I said, I truly believe that once you set that foundation up where you can trust your body starts trusting you, and you have a healthy relationship with your body. If and when the time feels right, where you do want to focus a little bit more on how your body looks and aesthetically and fitness wise, and you do want to feel better in your body, that can absolutely happen. The difference is it needs to be a process in order to not get to that place of disordered eating again, and in order to not fall back into those old habits with food. Again, that can look completely different to each individual. What works for one person does not necessarily mean that works for everybody else. Like I said, everybody's body, hormone profile, relationship with food, desires, goals are all completely unique. I think it's getting really crystal clear on where you are right now, where you want to be in terms of like how you want to feel in your body, how you want your life to look like. And I don't just mean like with your physical body, but what kind of things do you want to do in your day-to-day life that you're currently struggling with right now? For me, that was like, I really wanted to be one of those people that could go and travel and try different foods and affect me, and I didn't want to keep this same cycle going where I was constantly dieting and spending all my time burning off calories. Like I wanted that cycle to end. And personally, for me, I just wanted to get to a body where I was happy. It wasn't a body that was so difficult to maintain. I was ready to just give up, and I just wanted the freedom to be able to have choice again and autonomy over my body and not have anxiety with food. I wanted to get to a place where I really feel fit, healthy and strong, mentally and physically. It really requires getting super specific on where you want to go, what you want your life to look and feel like ultimately, as well as your body. Also getting crystal clear on where you are right now and why your current situation is the way it is right now. And that comes with understanding your habits with food, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, your thought process, your relationship with food, your habits, all of those things. Right now, I'm actually offering some free one-on-one food habit assessments. It's just where we can jump on a call together and we can literally do exactly that, where we can sit together and we go back and forth and help understand with where you're currently at with your relationship with food, and understand where you want to get to and why right now you're not getting to where you want to be. Maybe right now you don't actually feel fully clear on what to do. Maybe you're kind of in this void where maybe you're taking action, maybe you're allowing yourself some food, but then you find yourself still feeling guilty or still overeating or emotional overeating, whatever that looks like for you. There are so many different things that relationship with food can look like. Maybe there's just this kind of disconnect from where you are right now to where you want to go. Maybe you're not 100% clear of what that looks like. What these assessments essentially for is to help you gain some clarity on where you are, so that then you know your next steps, you know your focus, you know you're on the right path, and you get clear on what that future can look like, rather than kind of having one foot in and one foot out in recovery or healing your relationship with food, where it feels a little bit messy. It feels kind of like very kind of disconnected, and the journey can feel very lonely sometimes. I want to put that out there, that when you're healing your relationship with food, it's not the conventional way. We're not being told this by social media. Please celebrate yourself for that, because it takes courage to do this work. It takes courage, and it takes trust and self-belief in yourself and your body. So it is not for the faint-hearted. However, is it rewarding and worth it when you don't feel controlled with food anymore? Absolutely. And I want to give you this as proof that it is absolutely worth it. My life now versus when I used to struggle with my relationship with food is so far from that place. Everything gets better, and I hear this all of the time with my clients when they tell me things like, went out for coffee and cake today with my friend and I had no anxiety whatsoever, or I was able to eat with my husband or travel with my husband and enjoy food. So many amazing things. Not only that, but your mental capacity expands. You have the ability to hobbies, enjoy life again, enjoy aspects of life. You have the mental capacity to do other things, because food and dieting is no longer literally taking up all of your mental space, which I'm sure if you're watching this video you can probably relate to. And I personally struggled with it for so long that there comes a point where it kind of feels like part of your identity almost, where this almost feels like just who I am. Just because you struggled with this for a long time, and just because right now maybe it does feel a little bit messy, or it feels a little bit hard, or you're doubting yourself, you're doubting the process, doesn't mean that you can't get to where you want to be. Doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. More often than not, it just means that we are maybe just feeling disconnected from ourselves, our vision, and where we are and what our next steps are. So those assessments are going to be so beneficial, and I absolutely love just diving in deep with clients to help them understand and help them get that breakthrough that they're really craving, so that they know that they're not alone in this journey. So I will link all of the details down in the description box below, where you can claim, sorry, my dishwasher, where you can book your free assessment with me, as well as all my socials as well. So if you want to have a bit of a conversation as well, I'll leave my Instagram down in the description box below as well, so you can have a chat to me, you can discuss what's kind of coming up for you, and yeah, we can kind of dive in a little bit there as well, if that would help. Really just want to emphasize that you're not doing anything wrong. If you are in this recovery journey and you are doing the work on healing your relationship with food, and you are doubting yourself, you're doubting the process, you're doubting you are doing things right, question that. Are you comparing yourself to somebody else? What are you comparing yourself to? What is your idea of what recovery looks like, and what expectations you're putting on yourself? Are you expecting it to be over really quickly, or it to take a certain amount of time, or you to lose weight in the process? And really getting clear on that will help you to understand where the resistance is coming in. Because if we're putting high expectations on ourselves and we're saying to ourselves, right, okay, I've been doing this for a long time now, I should be recovered by now, and my weight has gone up and it shouldn't have gone up. It's unraveling those shoulds and expectations that will help us get to the root and understanding of why we might still be behaving in certain ways. And when we are able to release and get to the root of that, we can then start to see where we might still be overeating or restricting. Those things can kind of woven in at certain times if we are kind of comparing ourselves to other people. Still might be manipulating the way that we're eating and we're doing. Not saying this that you need to let go of the fear of weight gain. Chances are, if you are on this journey, you might still have that fear and resistance come up around weight gain. You might still feel scared about weight gain, which is completely valid. In order to get to a point where you do feel healthy, happy, confident in your body, there needs to be the foundation set, and that is to fully trust and heal your relationship with food. Get to a place where food no longer is controlling your life anymore, is kind of taking up that mental space. You're no longer overeating, you're no longer impulsively overeating or binge eating or emotional overeating, like all of those things, and you're not feeling out of control. Once that is set and your body feels safe and it feels healthy and happy, metabolism starts working efficiently. I've created a few videos around metabolism, so I'll link those down in the description box below as well, so you can check those out. Ultimately, we need to work on getting to a place where our body is kind of just working in harmony with everything. Our body starts to feel happy, trusting that food is coming in regularly. We feel energized. We're just feeling whole, and food no longer is like something we just can't stop thinking about. Once we get to that place, everything else starts to feel good again. We don't feel like we have to overeat all of the time. And as we do that, once those habits start to break, that's when our physical results may start to change as well, and we have the energy to exercise in a way that feels good and it feels empowering. I hope this video has helped. Please, if it has, or if you've got any other thoughts on this subject, I would really appreciate you to comment below what you think and what's come up for you. Like I said, I will link all of my details down in the description box below as well, so you can check ways that you can work with me and book a food habit assessment with me as well. So that being said, I will see you in the next video.